the greatest chasm in life is the gap between knowing and doing. Sales is often the most underdeveloped department within the organization. The people that brought us to this point may not be the people to get us to the next.
What one key piece of advice would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs watching and listening today? Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show. I'm your host, Ethan Cassiotis, and today I have a powerful guest. His name is Brandon Pipkin. He tried out to be the Colorado Avalanche NHL team mascot, and he didn't make it. Somehow, the AVS have done fine without him. He, meanwhile, has blazed another trail. He's an author and consultant focused on sales excellence, leadership development, and organizational strategy. With over 25 years of experience, he has guided over 15,000 people across hundreds of companies of all sizes, from fast-growing teams to global leaders like Visa, AstraZeneca, and AT&T. And known for making powerful connections between people, ideas, and opportunities, Brandon's approach blends adaptability, trust building, and a deep commitment to helping others grow. Welcome, Brandon, and thank you for being on the Business Growth Show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, awesome, mate. I'm sure it's going to be very impactful for everyone watching and listening today. And you are a successful entrepreneur. So for those people that know who you are, please introduce yourself by telling us a bit more about you and your journey.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I started my entrepreneurial journey, you could say, as a kid, doing some of the lawn mowing things, not knowing what the hell entrepreneurship even was at that time, naturally. And I served a 2-year church mission in Europe and got sales training there that I didn't even know was sales training. So I've left the church since then, but that was really my first sales job, where I was knocking on doors, ringing doorbells, talking to people on the street, trying to get them interested in hearing the message. And so what I like to say is I was trying to give away the hardest thing you could even try to give away, which is religion. And if people say, if you can sell copiers, you can sell anything. Well, I think if you can sell religion, you can probably sell anything. But that was a great experience, and it really shaped my worldview. It shaped how I communicate, and it shaped everything else since then. I came back, I fell into a sales job, tried out to be the Colorado Avalanche mascot. What a great experience that was. And it wasn't until I was there that I found out that I was up against somebody who had gone to mascot school. I didn't even know there was a thing. Maybe I'll still do that. But so I wasn't selected for that, but fell into a sales job. I always wanted to be in training, but I knew that if the economy gets soft, trainers are the first people to get cut at organizations. So I was in sales management for a long, long time. And then it just got really painful because the organization I was with was not very stand up, wasn't having any fun. So I transitioned over into training, and that took me across the world doing training classes in sales, leadership, customer service, communications, all that fun stuff. Spent the last 15 years doing sales training, and then 2 years ago joined up with Audubon Consultants, an amazing organization that does consulting for middle market companies and helps them expand EBITDA, give founder relief, and really helps them scale and reach dream exits. Having a ton of fun doing that. So business development there is what I focus on, as well as consulting with our clients on their strategy, on their sales, and on their leadership.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. And I love the story of the door-to-door sales, because it was something I wanted to do when I was younger. I started, doing some things when I was young, but when I got into my first business, I was able to do it for about 6 months. And I think the resilience you get, right, from hearing no's over and over again is, it's unpriceable, like on how much value that gives. Don't you think? Yeah.
Absolutely. What I tell people is, look, I'm a divorced man in my 40s with this face. I'm used to rejection and disappointment. But that all came from that church mission. I got used to the no, and it doesn't phase you as much as it would other people.
Yeah.
That door to door it's incomparable. It's like a hospitality job. People say, I think everybody should work hospitality, right? Some people say that. And I kind of feel the same way about door to door will teach you things you can't learn any other way.
Yeah, that's right. Because resilience, thick skin, right? You've got to be able to go through it. You can't just teach someone that. They've got to live it. And it's a bit like sport, in a way that I would do it. Like I've played a lot of soccer and tennis is a very mental game that I would probably link it to,
Yeah,
because you lose a point and you've got to, like, just like getting a no at a door, you've got to like get back into game mode when you get to that next door, that
that's
next
right.
point, right? To be like, okay, I'm on again. It doesn't matter what happened there, and be on point. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point. And in fact, it's salient because I played tennis with a friend a couple days ago and he smoked me 6-1, 6-1. So that didn't go so well for me.
Oh, good.
But,
Yeah, it's interesting
I
with
kept I
yeah, go.
I kept trying to get back into it after each point. Okay, no big deal. This one's good.
Yeah, it depends on the skill level, right, of the person, of how much yeah, they're good there. But I always look to, my little tip would be, is like anything, right? It's probably like in sales. You got to understand the person, right? Because everyone's different. You don't just do exactly the
That's
same
right.
strategy. But I'd love to hear it from your perspective, is like, but from a sport, it's like, what are their weaknesses? Is their backhand weaker than their forehand? Well, if they're better than you, attack the weakness,
Right.
right? Like that.
Right.
So yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's part of the problem. And this is, you're going to get me on a soapbox with this. So I wrote a book in 2011. I interviewed 21 entrepreneurial millionaires to find out how and why they do what they do. And part of that was I grew up in poor circumstances, single mom, 4 kids, had to have the help of people around us in church to keep us afloat. And when I grew up, I thought, well, I'm going to be really successful and I'm going to have no money problems. Everything's going to open up to me and it's just going to be really easy. Right. And I found out that it was anything but. When I interviewed these millionaires, I was trying to figure out what's the blueprint to success because of how I'd grown up. But then I learned something I had not expected at all because I had read all the books that tell you you have to be successful this way. This is the way to success. And these entrepreneurial millionaires did not follow the cookie cutter pattern. And so that was a really big lesson for me that, yeah, everybody is unique, is different. Approaching everybody with cookie cutter patterns is probably not going to be the best thing for conversation. And everybody has their own path that they're on. So it doesn't work to do the spray and pray that we often do in sales, but rather figure out what's really resonating with this person here. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, that you find out what the individual is all about.
Yeah. And yeah, let's delve deeper into sales, right? Because I think sales is the most important skill in business, because if you can't sell, you basically don't have a business. And it's very transferable, like to go
Right.
into another business. I think, the skill that you've learned. And a lot of business owners, like, especially let's use like just simple things like a trade, or they've got a particular skill. They're like, oh yeah, I'll be good in doing my own business, but they don't have the sales skills, right? They just know how to deliver a particular service or something like that to people. So what are some thoughts originally about sales, whether it's around the mindset side, or like what we need to be thinking about to, be successful at sales?
Yeah. First, to touch on the first part of what you said there, there's a great book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, if you're familiar with it. So Michael talks about people go into business because they have a skill. A doctor is good at being a doctor, so they open up their own clinic. A mechanic is great at fixing cars, open up their own shop. Problem is, you're going to spend 75% of your time doing other things different than the actual thing that you enjoy doing and are really good at doing. Sales is one of those things for a lot of business owners. And in fact, that's one of the things I've seen throughout my career. I've trained in something like 400 global organizations, 15,000 salespeople, whatever the case is. Sales is often the most underdeveloped department within the organization. We put numbers in front of these people, we give them tools, and then we're like, okay, go do what you need to do, go bring in sales. And salespeople are resourceful, figure it out, we get it going, right? But it's a really underdeveloped portion of the business because most business owners don't have that bent. Early on in the organization, they figure the product market fit and then they just kind of work into something that gets them where they need to go. But sales is one of those skills that you're never done learning. It's communication. The hardest skill in the world, I'm convinced, the hardest skill in the world to master is active listening. The reason for that is we have to turn this off as it relates to us and turn this on as it relates to somebody else. And that's a hard ask, to just be a blank slate for a minute and listen to what the other person is really saying and not how can I sell something to them right now. If you get good at sales, the world really is your oyster. because you can communicate with people, you can connect with people. And I'm talking about authentically. I'm not talking about the manipulative psychology, get in there and tweak the situation for your own gain. I'm talking about when you really connect with other people and they trust you, they'll want to hear what you have to say. They will want to go out of their way to do business with you because they know they're going to be taken care of.
Yeah, awesome. I love the old saying, it's like you got two ears and one mouth. So listen twice as much as you talk, right?
One of the jobs I had was at a car dealership. I worked part time there, and one of the sales managers spoke a million miles a minute. And his favorite phrase was, "I got two ears, one mouth, two ears, one mouth. God gave him too many in that proportion. That's the proportion I use them in two ears." But I never heard him listen one time. So yeah, he knew the phrase, but he wasn't very skilled at living that one out.
Yeah. And it's interesting because there's that old school saying, right? Like knowledge is power, but it's actually applied knowledge is power because you
That's
can have
right.
the knowledge in that example, but if you don't use it, then it's worthless, basically.
That's one of the, I'm glad you brought that up, Ethan. That's one of the greatest gaps that I see in any business. And I say the greatest chasm in life, the greatest valley is not the Grand Canyon in the United States. The greatest chasm in life is the gap between knowing and doing. And we see that a lot in sales. Sales is not actually very hard. What do? You go talk to the other person. You start with an agenda which says, "Hey, I want to learn about what's going on with you. I'll share what we've got going on. If there's a fit, we can talk more. And if not, we'll part as friends." Okay, that's not hard. Then you should be asking some smart questions like, "Tell me what's going on with you. Why is that a problem? What's that costing you?" See how smart those questions are? Like it's not very difficult. We overcomplicate it. And then we listen and then we craft a solution based on what they've just said, what we can do to help them, right? That's not difficult. But the chasm is that gap between knowing what we ought to do and then consistently showing up and doing it. Because some of the stuff over here isn't that fun, especially if you're prospecting. It's not that fun to prospect. At least some people. I love it. Had a boss ask me if I like to cold call. I said I love it. 3 weeks later, he goes, "Whenever somebody tells me they love cold calling, I know one of two things is going on. Number one, they're lying, or number two, they've got a screw loose. In your case, I know it's number two." But those things are not always the fun thing in sales. And so the gap between knowing what we ought to do and then actually doing it is the greatest gap.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's so true. And um, let's talk a bit about. I love the simple process that you said because I always say to people, sales is simple. It's like you said, it's about serving, connecting with the other person, just listening there. I think what I see is the problem, right, is around the objections that pop up, right? Because this is the thing is
Mhm.
about also ideally knowing what they are beforehand, so you can maybe deal
Right.
with them. They're there, but obviously if you get some resistance, how to get them forward, especially if you know that it's going to help them, right? Like they're on what your product or service does. So, what are some of the things you can tell us, some tips or whatever, either during the process or when you get to that sort of end point of overcoming and yeah, closing the sale?
Yeah. So one of my favorite books on sales is called Trust-Based Selling. In fact, I've got it right here, just off screen. And one of the reasons I love that book is the idea is not to overcome an objection. I've always hated that term anyway. Like what overcome? That pits at that it means my goal is at odds with yours and I have to overcome this kind of thing, right? The idea when you get an objection is curiosity. ABC, always be curious. So it's not always be closing, it's always be curious. Trust-based selling mentions that too. So if we are curious, somebody brings up an objection, we lean into it. "Hey, Tom, that sounds like it's really important for you to have an answer in this before we go forward. Can you share with me why that's an important thing for you? What's driving that?" Once I know what's really going on with Tom, I can attack the real part that we need to attack together to make this work. So, back to your point of people are individuals. And so often in sales, we motor forward. We hope we don't get objections. We actually invite them by how we approach the whole thing by trying to move toward the sale too fast. People put up natural defenses, they push back on us. And if we just slow down, we would recognize that slow is smooth and smooth is fast, as my friend Tim says. Get curious, find out what's going on for the other person, and almost always you'll have a way to help them through it.
Yeah, I love that. So simple and so much better, right? It's about the person of getting to that outcome. So we're debunking, the old school ways of sales right now and doing it in a better way.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is awesome. So let's talk a bit about scaling now because, you know, we need to get the sales right? Because whether you have a product or service or whatever, we need to make sure that, like you said, the product market fits there. Let's get it out there and we can start to grow the business. Now, there's obviously a lot of challenges that happen when you scale a business. So,
Hmm.
yeah, share with us what you see. And obviously, it depends a little bit on the stage of the business. So, however you want to frame the answer there of, yeah, getting to the point of scaling where it's not just, I guess, about you, yeah, in the business.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, where are the stick points generally when people scale? What do they say? Yeah. Number one, it's people. The people that brought us to this point may not be the people to get us to the next level that we need to go toward. And the reason for that is different people have different skills, or some people become complacent and don't want to grow, adapt, evolve, and change. So, the first thing we do when we work with an organization and we talk about growth and scale is help them understand the same people that brought us here may not be the people to take us further. If they are, here are the ways they need to change. We need to recognize our cognitive biases and overcome those. And I'll use overcome there because that's a fight against ourselves. We have to overcome those biases. We have to learn to delegate more. That's one of the key things that entrepreneurs are not very good at. Why? Because you built the thing to this point, taking care of everything, and it's your baby, and you know the quality and the standard that you want things done to. You'll never scale without delegating. And as simple as that message is, this message has been around for how long, right? How many business books have talked about this? I'm not mentioning anything earth shattering, but learning to delegate and delegate well isn't one of the things that will allow you to move forward beyond where you currently are. That means time management is involved there as well. And after you get the people figured out and what roles you need and what people you need to help you get further, and you've done your delegating and you're managing your time and things like that, you've got to have systems and processes along the way. Again, sounds very simple. And in fact, when I joined Autobahn, Ethan, I was like, strategic planning, wait, mission, vision, values? That was old in the 90s. What are we talking about that for? What I didn't understand and what I should have already known was, yeah, there's the things we know we should be doing, and then what's happening. It's amazing the amount of businesses that don't really know what their mission, vision, values are. Therefore, they can't communicate it. Therefore, the business is not really on the same page. And they think that people are bought in to the journey and what we're doing here, but they've never clarified it. And so your understanding might be a little slightly different from my understanding, and we're not quite aligned. Well, no wonder we get into executive meetings and then we're fighting and there's friction. Imagine what would happen if there's productive conflict about not the direction we're heading in, but how do we get there best? But we're all aligned on where we're heading. Then our conflict is about the best way to get there, the best way to use our resources. And then we can all align on that, knowing, okay, we're going in the same direction. If we make a mistake, we adjust. It's going to be fine. It frees up a lot of mental capital, emotional capital, physical energy to work on what really matters.
Yeah, I love that. So many awesome points on, yeah, the people side, getting in, the quality people, the delegating. I always say, I hear this from a lot of my clients, right, as well. It's like, oh, no one can do things as good as me. And I say, that's technically true because you're unique. No one's ever going to do anything as good as you, but you've got to be
That's
okay
right.
with somebody doing it maybe 80%, right? As good as you,
Correct.
but
That's
putting in,
exactly right.
like you said, the systems and processes in place so that they can follow that, right? Of what needs to happen, of what you expect in that business while also giving some autonomy as well, right? For them with the right people in place. Yeah.
That's it. So autonomy, so I'm going to close this for the lighting. Yeah, the autonomy piece is another difficult piece. When you delegate, you have to know what you're delegating, why you're delegating it, how much you're delegating. You can't abdicate. That's a whole different thing. You don't want to abdicate. You're delegating. And a lot of leaders just have never been taught how to really do that well. In our upcoming book, Rock Your Business, Catherine Slane. So Jonathan Slane started Audubon Consultants. His wife, Catherine, pediatric ICU nurse who recently joined the business. She talks about learning the hard way a lesson about delegating in the ICU. She thought a junior physician had something covered. Come to find out, the junior physician did not indeed have that situation covered. And she learned a powerful lesson about trusting, delegating situations in which to do it, how to do it. A high level doctor doesn't know how to do it. They didn't learn it in med school. Entrepreneurs don't learn how to do it unless we read, study, or get some outside help for it.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit more about the book. I know it's about to be released here, and as people listen to this over time, will be released. So, Rock Your Business, I believe it's June 2026, right?
Yep,
That's happening.
correct.
So,
Yep.
exciting there. Tell us a bit more, about the book. What's in it, and how can it help us?
Yeah. So the title is Rock Your Business, how to scale from, I forget what our subtitle even is. It'll come out soon
I th-
enough, right?
I think it's 50 million to 500 million and beyond.
But right, it's
Yes.
something like that. Like
Yeah.
scaling your business. I couldn't remember the first words there. So rock your business, scaling from 500 million. Oh, there it is. Navigating the road from 500 million to, I'm going to say this so wrong. This is a great promo right here, isn't it? Rock your business, navigating the road from 50 million to 500 million and beyond. And so, really, it's built for businesses, business owners who have gotten to a certain level of success and want to have some help getting to the next level because there's not really a blueprint. There's not a whole lot of entrepreneurs and businesses who have gone from 50 million to 500 million. So the idea is if you want to get there, there are a couple of things you'll want to keep in mind. And one of the things that I'm most excited about with the book is that 21 different people at Autobahn contributed and wrote chapters in the book. So Catherine wrote chapter 1 on delegation. Jim and Rafa wrote one on what they learned working in the pet food industry and for Nike. A couple others wrote a chapter on imposter syndrome and how to overcome that. Co-author and I, Deb Dixon, wrote the chapter on sales. So I'm really excited that it's not just a book with here's the one right way to do something, but 21 different voices on various topics. Here's what we've learned along the way. Here's what we see when we work with business owners. And here's some of the things you'll want to be thinking about on that road.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds great. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. It's like in a business, you have, let's say, experts, right? Or people that are very knowledgeable at certain areas, like sales, right? For example, with you, with your experience. So let's get the salesperson in to do the sales part of the book, right? And then, you do that with everyone else's zones of genius there. So yeah, sounds like it'd be a very, quality book. So looking forward to reading that and when it comes out, from here. So exciting times there. Um, let's talk about the big buzzword topic now of AI, because
Yeah,
this is changing the
it's one
game a
you
lot,
know
right?
about.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
business. So, love to hear from your perspective of, I guess, what you're seeing and how it's implementing and changing businesses that you're working with at this time.
Yeah, real life example. Last week we were out with a client. They do urgent care and primary care facilities. We were working with them on their destination, their 3-year plan, their 1-year plan, and we started to model out what does that look like? What's realistic but aspirational? What things need to be true to get to those levels? And what would have taken us a while to put into a spreadsheet and roughly model and only had one variation of and have to duplicate, we were able to very quickly put into an AI calculator using Claude Cowork, built the calculator right then and there, could model multiple scenarios all at once with variables, change them right there on the fly, and within 10, 15 minutes come to some really solid decisions. Again, in the past, financial modeling could have taken months, and now it takes minutes. That's one of the areas we see key uplifts for our clients. We also are able to quickly make graphics and things that look really good for different applications. So our design team in South Africa, incredibly talented designers, are really leaning into AI to speed up some of the things that they're doing without losing the human touch. We also really like AI for the thing that it was really designed to do in the beginning and really good at, which is data synthesis, taking large amounts of data, collating it, figuring out patterns, looking for things that would take a human years to do if we ever figured out the patterns between them all. So businesses get a real uplift when they load information, know what questions to ask, interact with it smartly. They can come up with some really cool things through the AI that help them make decisions faster, better.
Yeah, awesome. I love the examples, and I think this is, a lot of people out there, they don't really know the power, right? They're like, oh yeah, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and I put some things in there, it gives you some information, and that's like very basic compared to what you're talking about, right? It's like how can we do these actions? I think, one thing from as you're building these things out, right, is there's an automation side of things here that I think people need to understand as well, right? About AI. So AI has got like it can do things and adjust it there. And maybe there's a confusion here, right? So I'd like to know from your perspective, but what I'm seeing now is the shift is moving to an automation side of things. Because how can we
Yeah.
become more efficient basically in business? It's like, well, if there's certain tasks that just take a long time that are not necessarily that interesting for someone to do, it's like, can we get an automation to do that combination of AI and doing automation? And then that way, with the same A player team or your team that you have in the business, you could double, triple the business even bigger without necessarily having to hire too many more people in that. So I'd love to know your thoughts on
Mhm.
that side of things and where you see that going.
One of my favorite books lately has been Co-Intelligence by Ethan Mollick, which is about where AI is, where it's going, how to interact with it. Another one is called The AI Driven Leader. And in The AI Driven Leader, Jeff Woods positions a question. Stop asking, how can I do this? And start asking, how can AI help me do this? We at Autobahn have a goal, idea, objective that we will not hire any more entry level people. Our AI is now our entry level. And so the last entry level people that we hired will now become managers of our AI layer of agents. And they will oversee automations and they will oversee agentic work that the AI is doing. So they will become project managers for, call it junior project managers that are the AI agents. And I see that trend for successful businesses. So and there's a couple of things, and I'll tie this together with what we do when we consult with our clients. I'll ask to start an AI workshop, how many of you have an AI specialist on staff? The answer probably doesn't surprise you. 1 out of 100 might have an AI specialist on staff. Then I ask the question, how many of you know that in 5 years, you almost certainly will have an AI specialist on staff? Every hand in the room goes up. So I see a couple of things happening. That automated agentic work will be done, especially for the lower level tasks, call them lower level tasks that are repetitive tasks and aren't going to need as much cognitive horsepower. And then I see organizations moving toward AI specialists who can oversee multiple other AI specialists who are interacting with the AI. Now, concurrent with that, everybody in the organization should be jumping onto the AI train. We are really big on helping our clients find an LLM, get an enterprise model with it, and put everybody onto that. Right now, we like Claude. We liked ChatGPT 2 months ago. We might go back to Chat when they release their next thing, right? We may go to Grok at some point, depending on what happens. So the idea here is, and I know this is a little bit long-winded. I get excited about this AI stuff, and I know this is an expertise area for you. But yeah, I see a lot of automations going on there, streamlining of things, the apps, internal apps, dashboards. One of our clients is building an AI interface and dashboard that's going to pull all of their reports into a singular source of truth without them having to go grab the information, which used to take a long time. And now we can make better, faster, quicker, smarter decisions with all this information in one place and not have to have spent the 2 hours compiling it ourselves.
Yeah, no, I love it. So true, and I love the examples that you're giving, right? Because it's showing people what's possible here. I think that's the important part. one challenge that I find when I'm speaking to a lot of business owners and people with AI, with my decent level of knowledge, is that um, you're trying to find there's certain things that maybe like let's say like you said, getting an LLM, right, whichever one that is, and having like a knowledge base, maybe we call it, right, where you've got your own information there and you got the LLM and you can use that, right, and everyone's using it and building it out and everything. That's sort of a bit more standardized, but then every business is different, right? Even though there's similarities, on how they work, the software systems they use, like all of that, their systems and processes. So then there's a very tailored element of like what needs to be done here, right? So are you looking at it going, hey, we can come in, the base level of just getting everyone on is pretty simple, but then we just have to maybe do some workshops, some audits, some deep dives on what you actually do and map that out, and then go, okay, now let's put a plan in place to then, consult or implement those changes. Is that sort of the way that you guys approach it?
That's one thing. Yeah, one way we approach it is through AI readiness assessments. And one way we approach it is to just simply say, hey, go get on an AI, go play with it. You're not going to break it, but click the don't train the model button and just go have fun, go do stuff. Another way we engage is through phase zero projects, where we'll scope out what does the project look like that you're trying to do and what's the feasibility of it. Another way we engage is through AI consulting. Our AI specialist is just unbelievably skilled, very, very on top of things, understands the connection between business and AI. And so we are consulting with our clients through a consulting model for AI. So everything is fast, everything is developing, everything is moving right now. And we are meeting our clients where they are across the continuum to help them get going in it.
Yeah, nice, awesome. I love the multi-prong approach because yeah, it's hard to go from 0 to 100 with someone right there. So you got to make sure they're
That's
getting
right.
they're doing the reps initially, and then they're ready to lift more of the weights,
Yeah,
so to speak. Yeah, in
that's
that way.
right.
Yeah, it's awesome. So like I guess where do you see it going? I always like to ask this question, right?
Mm,
Because you've got AI of what it could do. There's also even the robotic side of things I'm thinking about as well. They can be linked in with AI, which
yeah.
gets a bit more interesting of what that could create. So yeah, what are your thoughts of where you're seeing it? Yeah,
Mm.
happen.
Well, there's a couple of things that come to mind. 3 years ago, we helped one of our clients create a solution through RPA, robotics process automation, that helped them pay invoices. So we helped them find the solution. They paid a vendor $200,000 to build this for them. And it was an agent at that time, an RPA agent that would log onto a computer, 8 a.m., pull invoices, go through the process, post it all, do the AR work, send it to the right places, send the emails it needed to, et cetera. This company, for as long as they're in existence, will never again have to hire another AI person. $200,000, good investment for that business. 3 years later, AI can now do that same work for 14 cents an invoice. So, where do I see things going? In a similar fashion. That what right now takes us months and thousands of dollars to do, AI will be able to do it very quickly. In fact, we ourselves, we thought a few months ago, maybe we implement AI projects for our clients. And now we know the AI is going to move faster than the project itself probably will. So we will consult with you on what that might look like, how you might want to think through things, and what tools you're wanting to think about and use here. Because things are moving so fast. From what I understand, AI capabilities double every 4 months. I don't think it's hyperbole when I say there was the invention of the wheel, there was the industrial revolution. Well, let's say wheel, fire, industrial revolution, computer, iPhone, and AI. It is that big of a shift, and probably even bigger than some of those others in the way that we do things and how we're going to do things. As to the exact shape that it takes, I have no idea. And I wish I were a prognosticator. I would be, of course, a billionaire if I were able to figure out exactly where things are going. But that's why we encourage our clients, get on the wave now because it's only moving forward. So you may as well start paddling.
Yeah, no, I love that. And yeah, so I'm curious. So obviously you've got an AI implementation, like you said, for clients, but you're saying is instead you're instructing them and almost consulting in a way, like building their AI team for them. Is that sort of the way that you would frame it? It's like, hey, we're going to help you and guide you along that journey, and then you can sort of build it internally with resources, or you're providing resources as well. Like, yeah, how does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one way. And Audubon is fantastic because what we do is in service of our clients. So one of the things we noticed, back to the people and the strategy, when I said people will bottleneck your growth. So we brought in a talent advisory arm, and we have 4 full-time people operating on that side of things to help find the right people for our clients. What we used to do is we would consult with them and find out, you need a CTO? Cool. All right, go find one. Well, now we say, well, we know your organization really well. We know what would fit well, who you need. We know how the organization needs to get prepared for certain types of people. Let's do a search for you, bring in some candidates. We will get them prepped. You'll understand from your side what you would need to be looking for, and we'll help you find the right person. So we can do that same thing with AI, and we can help them find AI specialists. We know what to look for. We know how to place them. So that's one way that we can consult, is to put the right people in place. And then another way, more specifically to your question, is yeah, we will consult with their team on how to be thinking through things and what they might want to look at, how they might want to be thinking about it, what investments and bets are probably good ones for them to make.
Yeah, on the strategy side, which is really the most important side, right? You got to make sure you're going in the right direction. Well,
That's right. AI is a great tool, but AI in the vacuum, in absentia of a strategy, you're going to run yourself into all kinds of problems.
yeah, it's so funny, right? Like, there's this thing with coaches, mentors, consultants that people are like, it's like, oh, why do we need them when we've got AI now? I said, well, you don't know what questions to ask, right? You don't have the experience, you don't have the strategy, right? It's only as good
That's right.
as the direction. You agree?
That's exactly right. Yes. So this gets into how LLMs are built and how AI came about, right? But it's a probabilistic system. It works with the inputs you give it to give back the most probable answers. AI doesn't have the sentience, the awareness yet, without you giving it the context to things, without you feeding it, without you prompting it the right way. And that's where a human being is still necessary. And this is where Ethan Mollick in Co-Intelligence says, be the human in the loop. The human mind, the human capacity, and the human connection is incomparable. And AI will never fully replace us because of that. So those things have to be in existence for the AI to function really, really well.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's so important, and that's why, yeah, I love what we're talking about here today, right? Because there's the awareness, having the right questions, learn about strategy, learn the books, but also get the right people, right? Like, how do you think in your journey? I know you help a lot of your clients as well, but having people around you, right? Coaches, mentors, consultants,
Mm-hmm.
advisors, to get a business to where you want it to be. Yeah, how
Mm-hmm.
important is that?
Oh, geez, right. It's everything. Uh, Real example from the way that I feel every morning, I have to wake up and run harder and faster than I ever have before just to keep up with the people in Audubon, right? Like we have a former, as I mentioned, former ICU, pediatric ICU doctor. There are less than 2,000 of those in the United States. That's rarefied air. Jonathan, Jim, Rafa, Caleb, these people that I work with are incredibly talented in what they do. And I have to wake up every morning and go hard and go fast just to keep up with them. So they are naturally pulling out the very best from me because I don't want to be left behind. Right? If they were good at what they do, pretty good, and they invited me to come along with them, that would be a whole different story. But because they're so damn good and so effective at what they do, I have to get my very best going every day to make that happen. In addition to that, if we were just to do all of this in a vacuum, we'd make some really good decisions. Jim led a business to a successful exit. Jonathan has coached and consulted with dozens of successful entrepreneurs. He knows this road, he knows how to do these things. But if Jonathan weren't checking in with Paul Belair, his mentor and one of the co authors of the book, we would be deficit of that perspective. and of that information. If he didn't reach out to one of his other mentors who runs a $300 million business, we would be deficit of some things that we might otherwise benefit from. So it's having that perspective that adds all of the information you want to make the good decisions. And then you got to have people on your team like Jonathan, like Jim, who can quickly make decisions, really good at discernment, and know the bets to place.
Yeah, no, I love that. So true. It's you don't know what you don't know. So get people around you. And even if they're just giving you the outside perspective is valuable, right? Let alone with the experience, right? That they have coupled
That's
with
right.
that is
Correct.
yeah, valuable.
Yeah. Like a keynote speaker, people often say, "What? I'm paying you $20,000 for an hour." No, you're paying me $20,000 for 40 years of experience. That's what you're paying for. And I see this in sales. When I was a young sales trainer in my early 30s, I would walk into these organizations, Fortune 500 companies. These VPs of sales have been in place longer than I've been alive almost, right? And I would always wonder, what am I going to teach them? They already know everything about sales. We'll see how today goes. I have my materials and I know what I'm going to cover, but it doesn't seem like this person needs it. They've been doing this for 35 years. Invariably, at some point throughout the day, the VP of sales would go, "I've never thought of it like that." Or, "Oh man, I'm not doing that one. We're not doing it here, guys. We need to do this thing." None of us is as smart as all of us. Nobody can do everything. If we put the right people around us, complementary strengths together, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what I would add as well, 2 cents, is always have a student mind, right? Don't think that you know everything. Like those you know, those people that you're speaking to, they didn't go, oh, it's just another sales guy, whatever. They're going, no, there's something here for me to learn. So you're receptive,
Yeah,
you know, to the information. I think that's the important part. Because otherwise
that's
you close
huge.
off, yeah, growth from that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we've worked with a few clients who know everything and they're not good clients for us. And of course, I'm being a little flip, right? Nobody knows everything, but some are pretty sure they know everything and they've done great things. Some of them have built really successful businesses. They still have some blind spots. They still have some areas where if they wanted to, we could be helpful to them.
Yeah, definitely. No, awesome, man. It's love it. It's been so powerful, everything of discussion of what we discuss here today. And I guess as we're wrapping up, what one key piece of advice would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs watching and listening today?
We need you. We don't need a cookie cutter. We don't need a carbon copy. You have gifts, talents, and abilities that nobody else does. You have an offering that nobody else does. You have a way of positioning it, a way of communicating it, a way of connecting with people that nobody else does. And in this life, as a fellow traveler in this life, I need you to show up in a way that is you because we are all blessed. We are all better when each of us plays our part in this great symphony, and the grand cacophony of all these sounds coming together in a beautiful way when we each play our part is incomparable. So we need more of your gifts, talents, and abilities, more of you. And that ties right back to the book. The book isn't about we want to help you create a cookie cutter pattern and do it the Autobahn way. We want to help a business create that business way, that unique IP to them, to their business, to their culture, to the fabric of their environment. That's what we help organizations do.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. So true. And yeah, we connected through our networks. I learned about your awesome journey from,
Yeah.
you know, guiding over, you know, 50,000 people across hundreds of companies of all sizes to being an author and consultant. You're awesome guy, mate. You shared so much knowledge, scaling businesses, the sales side, the AI side, where things are going, and just being, you know, true to yourself, being authentic, right? Connecting with people, because that's what it's all about here. And then getting the right people in place, the right help, you know, for other there. So much gold on all these areas of what we need to be focusing on, to, you know, to be successful in business. And I'm sure you continue to blend your adaptability, trust building, and deep commitment to helping others grow. So I'm very grateful that we connected and look forward to partnering as well. So Brandon, yeah, how can people find you and get in touch or partner with you?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Autobahn consultants, Autobahn, just like the German highway, Autobahn consultants, which is quite convenient because that's actually where I spent my church mission was in Germany and Switzerland. So I've driven on the Autobahn. And the reason that it's called Autobahn, we help businesses grow fast without crashing. We understand the guide rails. We know how to go fast with control. So autobahnconsultants.com. If you want to reach out to me directly, it's Brandon at autobahnconsultants.com. You can find us on the socials at Autobahn Consultants, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all those kinds of good things. We're there.
Yeah, awesome. We'll definitely check him out at the website. You can email Brandon or the socials as well. Sounds very powerful on all of that, and looking forward to seeing that. I haven't driven on the Autobahn just yet, but I'm hoping to be able to get that happening too. So let's have that. So definitely check it out, guys. Amazing stuff here, and this book sounds amazing as well. So when it comes out, it's probably almost going to be out, or when you listen to this over time, it'll be out. So get into that book, because it sounds like it's going to be amazing. I look forward to getting into that shortly as well. Mate, it's been a pleasure interviewing you. Thanks for being on the Business Growth Show.
Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Business Growth Show, where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Ethan Cassiotis, or visit my website, ethancassiotis.com. And if you want to grow and scale your business, you'd reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. So until next time, remember that our business grows where we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So let's create wealth and freedom together.